I guess historically we've been taught, I should imagine is the right word, that we either have a good attitude or we have a bad attitude. What's your take now on attitude?
I think growing up, we've never really been challenged to look into what is a good attitude and what is a bad attitude. I think a bad attitude was, not doing your homework or, not, bad manners maybe at the dinner table and things like that. So I think that it's been not really maybe looked into in enough detail as what is a good and bad attitude. And attitude, I think, to me now is the mindset in which you approach anything and everything in your life. And I think it is looking at, and I think it links back to what we talked about before, is looking at sort of the best case scenario rather than the worst case scenario. So to me, that is that encompasses a good attitude to me. Is, what's the best outcome that could come from this situation, and how could I give the best of myself to this situation, even if it's deeply uncomfortable, even if it's scary, even if it feels confrontational or anything like that. I think it's taking a step back and thinking, how can I be the best version of myself here? And what do I want out of it, and how can I facilitate that? Because as we know, we can only control ourselves.
Absolutely. And I think kind of historically, again, or what we tend to do is that we probably try and sort of control other people, or we try to control circumstances and events. Now, some things we can control, and then some things are so beyond our control. So then we're thinking about attitude. If attitude means this kind of mixture of our thoughts, our feelings, and then ultimately our actions, how can we have an attitude, a good attitude or a positive attitude, should I say, when things aren't going your way? Because let's be honest, we've only got to turn the TV on, and, the amount of unhappiness, the amount of things which are going on locally, nationally, around the world, it sometimes feels like, well, you talk about being grateful, you talk about having, being positive. How can I be positive when I have all this going on?
I think it's about perspective a lot of the time. And I think it's kind of coming back to yourself, really, and saying, what can I do in this moment? Because, as you said, we can't control our external environment, and we can't control many factors in that environment. We can't control other people's actions. But I think it's coming back to a really basic level of, what can I do to either help myself, or if there's a situation around me that I don't quite like, well, what can I do to contribute to that? I think that's really powerful, and perspective as well of, what do I have going on in my life that is good? And as we know how powerful gratitude is, and I think perspective has a lot to.
Because I noticed, in the business that you're in, and please do share a little bit more about what you do. But you've got an event which is coming up, which is fantastic, which we're really looking forward to. And you mention about the power of gratitude in that. So explain to everybody what you actually mean by gratitude, because I'm happy, or I'm grateful for something. How is that really going to help me or shift things within me?
I think I've wrestled with this a lot in recent years with kind of gratitude, and it's like, whatever, and but really we do take so much for granted, and it is a mindset shift when we focus on what we have in life that is going well. And you sort of laser focus into what's going well in your life and what you are grateful for. Naturally, you attract more of it. And I don't mean that in a kind of woo-woo sense. I mean that in the sense that once you have fixed your brain to focus on that,
Yes.
that's what you see more of in your
Exactly.
life. So it's not necessarily that things are coming to you, you know, landing on your lap as such, but you see it more easily. You see opportunities more easily. You see the good in a situation a bit more easily. So I think gratitude is such a powerful tool for shifting your mood as well. If you find yourself in a bit of I'm in a grumpy mood, or I don't feel very positive today, or things aren't going very well today, I think practicing gratitude in whatever way that feels natural to you is one of the most easiest, quickest
Yes.
ways to get into a higher state of vibration,
Absolutely.
to boost your mood. And I also think there's power in sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of premature gratitude. So being grateful for things that haven't actually happened yet, or things that you don't have yet.
Yeah.
Because, well, we know sort of from a neurological point of view, we know how powerful that is to train your brain to be grateful for something that you haven't yet achieved, but we're planting those seeds for that to come in, the ideas to come in. But it's also just a nice way to be optimistic about the future. So it's all sorts of things with gratitude. And I think I think the world would be a very different place if a lot of us focused on, 2 seconds of your day, 3 things I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
Done. It's so simple. Really.
It is simple. And yet, as always, the simple things in life are normally the most effective. And I just want to kind of touch on the point you talked about, that ability to be grateful for something that hasn't happened, that ability to have the foresight to think, right, this is how I want to live my life, or this is what I want to achieve. And actually, I'm going to have that feeling now.
Yeah.
Because if I have that feeling now, then I know the opportunities and the way is going to be sort of shown to me.
Absolutely.
And that's a kind of a choice within ourselves. So it's almost like if I said to you, right, come on, pack your bags, we're going to Dubai next week. It's not happening yet, but you'd be excited for that, because that's something that you want to achieve, and that's something that you want to do. So yeah. And also, touching on the subject of what you're saying, looking for the good in every situation. How important is that for you, do you think, and your business as well?
It is massive.
Yeah.
And looking for the good in situations has actually allowed me to make the best decisions in my business.
Yeah.
It's helped me make the best decisions in just life events. For example, I've had to make a few calls relating to different services that I offer in my business just now. And at the time, you feel a bit kind of suffocated, and what do I do? There's so many factors to consider. So it's a lot of the time, things are bittersweet. There's always, like you've said before, there's kind of a positive and a negative to every situation.
Yeah.
But you can allow yourself to focus on the positive out of it. And I do believe that when you do that, something normally clicks in its place that is equal to that positive, whatever you were thinking about when you made that decision. And it's happened to me countless times. And as you know, it's happened to me countless times in my business. I've made what felt like really difficult decisions at the time to let go of certain services or let go of certain classes in my case. And as soon as I've done that, what I really wanted to focus on, I've acquired more of that. And without really having to try. It's quite bizarre, but I think you mentally, physically and energetically create the space for the things that you really do want to focus on. It's like they're trying to come in, but you're not letting it come in.
Definitely.
So
and I think you give so many great examples of whereby we think about the sort of the common denominator success in lesson 10. And it's that ability to do things, successful people do things that unsuccessful people are not willing to do. And I have to hand it to you. really, Courtney, that, you have a vision, you have a goal, and you're not afraid to kind of put yourself out there in terms of thinking, right, okay, well, I might try this because ultimately I feel and I see the bigger picture. And I love the fact that you see the good in every situation. So when a situation doesn't work out, you go, Now, most people could say, oh, this is a little rubbish, what a waste of time, and blah, blah, blah. And we spiral down this rabbit hole of negativity and become, it's all about self-pity of ourselves and woe is me. But you're able to be objective and go, actually, what did I actually learn from this situation? Okay, well, what I've learned from this situation is actually what I do want is over here. So I'm going to shift my focus and I'm going to start to focus on that.
Absolutely.
The prime example of that is, the upcoming event, the retreat, which is happening.
Yeah.
What date is it again?
The first one is the 21st of May, which is fully booked.
It is.
But we have another one running on the 18th of June for the summer solstice.
Excellent.
So, yes. And that's, as you said, that was a really funny circumstance where I'd been thinking about this retreat for about 6 months and sort of a bit of procrastination. Hadn't done this before. Where do I start? Oh, yeah, it felt like a lot of work. And then, it took a couple of shifts in a horrendous job to make me realise, hang on a minute, what's the lesser of two evils here? I think I know that working on my own retreat is actually going to be really good and really fun. And that's what it was. It sort of can take a slightly more negative situation or to be unhappy in a situation to give you that push to actually take action towards what you want.
And I think you kind of summarize that whole lesson around attitude. Attitude is that composite, is that kind of mixture of your thoughts, your feelings, and then your actions. You could have gone either way. You could have gone either way on that sort of circumstance, but you chose to see the good in the situation of what it can bring you, what lesson have I learned, and actually, if anything, it served you better because now you're focusing on something that you've really wanted to do. The response that you've had has been amazing. And, everybody gets a chance to be part of that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, when you look at, in this example, the first option is, I know I'm not happy, I know I'm not adding value or the value that I want to add. And then, okay, well, what do I want to do now? And what difference do I want to make? And I think if that's what's driving you, it will always come good.
Yeah, it will.